ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरोः श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगण रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं श्रीकृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधाकृष्णपादान् सहगण ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च। हे कृष्णा करुणा सिन्धो दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिकान्त राधाकान्त नमोस्तुते। तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। नमो महावदान्याय कृष्णा प्रेम प्रदायिने कृष्णाय कृष्णा चैतन्य नाम्ने गौरत्विषे नमः। पंचतत्वात्मकं कृष्णं भक्तरूपस्वरूपकं भक्तावतारं भक्ताख्यं नमामि भक्तशक्तिकम्। श्रीकृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंदा श्री अद्वैता गदाधर श्रीवासदि गौरभक्तवृंदा। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। जन्माद्यस्य यतोऽन्वयादितरतश्चार्थेषु भिज्ञस्वराट् तेने ब्रह्महृदायादिकवये मुह्यन्ति यत्सूरयः। तेजो वारिमृदां यथा विनिमयो यत्र त्रिसर्गो मृषा धाम्ना स्वेन सदा निरस्तकुहकं सत्यं परं धीमहि। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। स्वस्ति अस्तु विश्वस्य खलः प्रसीदतां ध्यायन्तु भूतानि शिवं मिथो धिया। मनश्च भद्रं भजतादधोक्षजे आवेश्यतां नो मतिरप्यहेतुकी। आप सभी का स्वागत है आज के इस गीता के प्रवचन में।
We welcome all of you to today's Bhagavad-Gita class.
तृतीय अध्याय का 33वां श्लोक।
We are studying chapter 3, verse 33 onwards.
भगवान ने बताया था कि जो
In the previous verse, Bhagavan explained.
32 नहीं किया, ठीक है 32वां श्लोक।
So we are studying from verse 32.
तो भगवान ने 31वें श्लोक में बोला था
In the 31st verse, Bhagavan had explained
उन्हें अर्पण करके व्यक्ति को
that all the karmas should be offered to him and accordingly a person should work.
प्राप्त होगी।
This will lead him to liberation.
प्रवृत्ति करने के लिए उन्होंने
Then in 2 verses,
बताया कि
he explained by Anvaya and Vyatirek that one who follows this becomes liberated. This is what he explained in verse 31, and in 32nd he is explaining that one who does not do this, what is the loss he suffers. So this is a way to engage a person by explaining the profit and loss, that if you do this, what is the gain? But somebody may say that what if I do not want any gain? So then he also explains that if you do not do this, what is the loss? Nobody wants any to suffer loss. If you want to engage somebody in something, you should definitely tell what is the loss in not doing that. Because even if a person does not want any benefit, at least he doesn't want any loss. In our life, whether we get happiness or no, at least we do not want suffering. Mostly we endeavor to avoid suffering. We also want happiness, but if we get both happiness and suffering, our first priority is always to eliminate the suffering. Later, we try to endeavor for happiness. It is not that if I have suffering, let the suffering continue and I will keep endeavoring for happiness. No. First, everyone tries to get rid of the suffering. So, this is human mentality that we do not want suffering. So, Bhagavan is telling here.
सर्वज्ञान विमूढ़ांस्तान विद्धि नष्टान चेतसः परंतु जो लोग
Translation, but those who are envious and do not adhere to this teaching of mine, know them to be deluded in the matter of all knowledge,
ज्ञान के विषय में मोहग्रस्त हैं वे नष्ट हो जाएंगे
succumbed to ruin and bereft of discriminating intellect.
तो जैसा पिछले श्लोक में उन्होंने बताया था कि जो श्रद्धावान है
So, as in the previous verse, he had explained that those who are Shraddhalu, those who are free from envy, those who have faith, along with doing karma, how can they remain free from bondage? Here he is explaining the opposite thing, that those who are envious, to be envious means to ascribe faults to good qualities in others. It is also called asuya.
तो ऐसे व्यक्ति
So such people
उनके मत का जो उन्होंने बताया है कि कर्मार्पण कीजिए
and Bhagwan's opinion regarding karmarpana, bereft of the sense of doership. What is the result he is explaining here?
तान विद्धि नष्टान चेत से तीन बताते हैं वो
So he is telling 3 points here. First of all, that they are deluded in the matter of all knowledge. So vimuda means like a person becomes unconscious and such a person does not know what is to be done, what is not to be done. Similarly, for such a person, his life is as if he is not conscious. He cannot take any decision, what is good for him, what is not good for him. So such a person, he engages in many actions, but they all lead to suffering only. So this is called delusion. This is the state of delusion. One who cannot understand things properly. Like Bhagavan explains in chapter 16 of Gita, that those who are demoniac, they do not know what should be done and what should not be done.
सर्वर्थान विपरीतान से बुद्धि सा पार्थ तामसी तो तामसी बुद्धि होती है जिसको ये
So this is a tamasic intelligence due to which a person does not understand what is dharma, what is adharma. He considers dharma to be adharma and vice versa. So the natural result of such a lifestyle is suffering only. Do not expect any happiness. There may be some temporary benefit, like people who smoke, so they experience some temporary pleasure, some peace of mind temporarily in any kind of addiction that happens, but ultimately it leads to suffering only. So this is called vimudha, deluded in all types of knowledge. They do not have proper knowledge. And
जिसको
its fundamental reason is
कि वो दोष निकालते रहते हैं दूसरों में,
they
और
keep finding faults in others
दोष
due to
निकालने के
envy.
कारण वो
And
अहंकार
due
में
to
चले
this
जाते
fault finding mentality, they
हैं।
cannot
और वास्तव
see
में जो
their own
दूसरों में
faults.
दोष निकालता है
Actually, a person who finds
ये
faults in
लक्षण
others,
है कि वो दोष
this is
अपने में
a
भी है।
symptom of his own
उसको दूसरे में दिखाई
faults.
देता है लेकिन अपने में नहीं दिखता है, क्योंकि हमारी आंख
He sees faults in
दूर
others,
की वस्तु को देख
not in
लेती है, लेकिन जो
himself.
हमारे
Like
पास है
our
वो
eyes
उसको
can
नजर नहीं
see
आता।
things which are at little
तो उसी
distance, but
प्रकार
things which are
व्यक्ति जब
extremely close to us, we cannot see them.
दूसरों में दोषारोपण करता रहता है
Similarly, a
लेकिन
person keeps finding faults in others,
लेकिन अपने
even
में
in
नहीं
their good
देखता है,
qualities, but he never
और
sees
इसी
any
कारण
fault in himself or
वो
herself.
अपनी वाणी से ही
In this
अपने
way,
लिए कष्ट के
by
बीज
his
बोता है,
own speech,
क्योंकि वो
he sows the seeds of
टिप्पणी
suffering.
करता है दूसरों के
Because
ऊपर,
one who criticizes others,
पक्षपात करता है, उसका
one who
पक्षपात कर ले
finds fault in others, he has to
तो
suffer.
दोष उसमें भी आएंगे। फिर प्राय करके ऐसा देखा जाता है कि जो लोग दूसरों
Generally,
में
it is seen
ज्यादा दोष
that
निकालते हैं
those who
वो दोष उसमें भी आ जाते
find
हैं,
lot of faults in others,
क्योंकि उनका
they
अंतःकरण
also
ऐसा
get
है।
those faults, even if they did not have that to begin
और
with. That is
जैसे
because
जैसे
they are
वो
always
बात करते
meditating on
हैं
others' faults.
तो
So
हमारे पर
they also start
वैसी ही
behaving
बातों
like
के
the
प्रति
other faulty
प्रभाव
person,
पड़ता है।
because our
जैसे
meditation
हम किसी
also
के में
influences
गुण
us.
देखते हैं तो
So
हम
when we
उस
find,
प्रकार
when
के
we see
गुण भी
good
हम
qualities
दूसरों
in
में अवश्य
others,
देखते हैं,
we also imbibe those
उसी
good
प्रकार के
qualities.
दोष
But if
अपने
we
में
see
भी आते
bad
हैं।
qualities in others,
तो इसलिए
we will also
इसलिए
start
विवेक
imbibing them
प्रधान कहा उसको, दोष
according
निकालने
to our
वाला।
meditation.
और ऐसा व्यक्ति जो है वो फिर क्रिया भी उसी प्रकार की
So
करता है।
such a person, he acts also
कई
accordingly.
बार देखते हैं हम कि लोग
Often it is seen
दोषारोपण तो
that
करते हैं और फिर उसी में
people also
बना
ascribe
रहते हैं।
faults to others,
जैसे
but they
आश्रम में
also
जाते
stay in
हैं,
that place.
सबके
Like
अंदर
people
दोष
come
देखते
in
हैं
the ashram,
लेकिन
they
ग्रहण
will
नहीं
find
करते,
faults in everybody in the ashram,
लोग
but
कहते
they
हैं
will stay in the ashram. They will not leave that
पर्यावरण
place.
को छोड़ के चले जाइए,
If you
ये
feel
लोग
that
करते
the
हैं।
entire environment is polluted, why don't you leave?
और फिर
But
उसके
such a person
परिणाम
will
ये
not leave. He will stay there and he will keep
कहते हैं
finding fault.
नष्टान।
And then Bhagavan says such people will
नष्ट का
be
मतलब होता है
destroyed. They will succumb to
कि
ruin.
उसकी दृष्टि से
So
दिखाई नहीं
here
देता है।
Nashta means
और
that,
नष्ट होने का मतलब होता है नष्ट धातु का मतलब होता है आदर्शन होना,
so actually Nash
कि
Dhatu
उसे कुछ
means
भी अच्छा दिखेगा
Adarshan, that he will not see anything good
कुछ भी अच्छा
anywhere.
दिखेगा
Whatever he will
वो सब
see
दोष ही
will
दिखेगा,
be fault only.
और इससे उसका जीवन का विनाश हो जाता है,
And
उसका
that
जीवन
will
में
destroy
सुख
his
नहीं मिल
life.
पाता।
He will not experience any happiness in his life.
यानी कि वो चेतनाहीन होता है, उसमें विवेक
So
नहीं
he
रहता।
is as if unconscious,
तो जैसे
meaning
समुद्र
that he is bereft of
मुर्दे
discrimination.
के समान है, जीवित, उसको
It's
जीवित
like
शब्द
even though he is a living person, he is as good as a
उसका
dead
जीवन
person.
नहीं होता, कि चलता तो है वो देखता भी है लेकिन जैसे रोबोट होते
Although
हैं,
he is seeing, he is walking, but he is like a robot.
बात भी करते हैं,
You have seen
वास्तव में तो
robots, they can walk, they
उनकी
can
चेतना
talk,
नहीं होती, वो
but actually
चेतन
they
नहीं
do
होते।
not have their own
वैसे ही ये
consciousness.
व्यक्ति भी होता है, क्योंकि इसका जीवन जो
They are dead
दूसरों में
matter
दोष
only.
देखता है, दूसरों में
So,
दोष देखना
such a person also,
अपनी
his
दृष्टि
life
उससे
continues like this
नहीं
only,
देखता है, उसकी चेतना जो है
meditating on
दूसरों में
others' faults. He does not meditate on how
उसका जो
he
विवेक
can
है, उसकी
improve
बुद्धि
in
वो
his life,
दोष दर्शन में निकलती है,
but his intellect always meditates on others' faults.
विमूढ़
That's
हो जाता
why
है
Bhagavan says
और वो
that
नष्ट
such a person is
नष्ट
deluded
हो गया और
and he
नष्ट
will be
दशा में।
destroyed.
तो ये सब व्यक्ति, और इसलिए वो नानुतिष्ठन्ति, वो निष्काम कर्म नहीं करेगा,
And such a
भगवान की
person does not perform Nishkam Karma because
कि
he finds faults in Bhagavan
ये
also.
सब कर्म हमको अर्पण कर
He
दीजिए,
says that Bhagavan is telling us to offer all the karma
तो
to
ऐसा
him.
व्यक्ति
Why should I do that?
दूसरों के ज्ञान से लाभ नहीं ले सकता है,
Such a person cannot derive benefit
इसलिए
from others'
सर्वज्ञ
knowledge.
विमूढ़, क्योंकि
That's why he is
जीवन
deluded in
में
all types of
स्वयं
knowledge.
सीखते हैं अपने अनुभव से,
Because in our life
और
we
अपनी
learn by our own
शिक्षा से भी
experience
सीखते हैं,
and
दूसरों
we
की
also
शिक्षा से भी
learn
सीख
from
सकते हैं।
others' teachings,
लेकिन
others'
अगर हम दूसरों में
experiences.
केवल
But
दोषारोपण ही
if
करते रहेंगे
we only find faults in others,
पूरी
especially in
जानकारी
those who are experienced, who are wise,
और जो
knowledgeable,
आपको शिक्षा दे सकते हैं,
and
उनको
those who are
अगर आप
capable of
बुला
teaching
सके तो
us.
फिर आप
If
शिक्षा
we
दे
start
सकते हैं।
finding faults in them also,
तो दूसरा
then
शिक्षक
how can we
अनुभव और अपने
expect
अनुभव से भी
to
नहीं
receive
सीखेगा।
any knowledge? So then we will not
तो
learn by
इसलिए
our own
हमें अपने
experience and we will
प्रारब्ध
not learn from others' experiences also. That's
इसलिए
why Bhagavan is saying
मेरी शिक्षा के
that
अनुसार वो अनुष्ठान
such a
करते हैं,
person
उसका पालन नहीं करते हैं।
he does not follow my
कुछ लोग
teaching,
सोचेंगे कि शास्त्र जो है ये ब्राह्मणों के लिए
because
है,
such people they
अर्थात
think that this shastra
किसी
is
प्राचीन ऋषि का
nothing
उनको
but the
बताया जाए,
trap laid
मंदिर
by
कैसे
the
सजाए,
brahmanas to fool
कैसे
others to do business.
कथा
The
कैसे
temples
चलाए,
are all business
ये
centers,
सब
and the
बताते
doing
हैं।
katha,
तो
lecturing on
इसमें
shastra, this is all
जो व्यक्ति
business. So such a person he thinks like this only.
इसलिए वो कोई भी धार्मिक कृत्य है या कोई भी आध्यात्मिक
So
साधना वो
such
नहीं
a
कर सकता
person
है।
he cannot do
तो ये
any spiritual sadhana,
भगवान इसलिए
any
उसका
religious activity.
एक व्यवहार किस प्रकार का होता है, जो श्रद्धाहीन
So Bhagavan is
और
explaining here
दोषारोपण
how
करने वाला
a
व्यक्ति है।
faithless person and an envious
इस
person
श्लोक में
behaves.
सर्वज्ञान विमूढ़ान
In
इसकी
this
संधि
verse,
हम दूसरे
there is
तरीके
a
से भी
term
देख सकते हैं।
Sarvagyan Vimudhan. We can see
सर्वज्ञान
the sandhi in a different way also.
एक तो है
That is
सर्वज्ञान,
Sarvagyan and Avimudhan. One is Sarvagyan
जिसमें
Vimudhan, and other is Sarvagyan and
जो
Avimudhan.
सर्वज्ञ है
That
और अविमूढ़ है,
he is
मूढ़ नहीं है, सर्वज्ञ है। तो तान विद्धि नष्टाने चेत से, लेकिन वो लौकिक ज्ञान में ही सर्वज्ञ है।
so
ऐसे
he
भी
is
तो लोग होते हैं
Sarvagya,
जो
but
लौकिक ज्ञान
only
में
in terms of material knowledge.
माहिर है
He is extremely expert in
और
material
फिर भी
knowledge,
उसमें विमूढ़ नहीं है।
and he has no
लेकिन
confusion when it
आध्यात्मिक
comes to
बात
material knowledge.
आध्यात्मिक
But when it comes to
होता है
spiritual knowledge,
भगवान के
he
स्वरूप
has
का,
absolutely no understanding. He just finds faults
वो भी
in
नष्ट
Bhagwan,
हो
in
जाता है।
devotees. So such a
इसलिए
person also gets destroyed.
अब इसमें प्रश्न ये आता है स्वाभाविक ही
So
कि जब
here the
ऐसा होता
natural
है
question that arises is
तो
that
भगवान की
if
शिक्षा को
in
ग्रहण
such
क्यों
a
नहीं करते हैं,
situation,
इसके पीछे कारण क्या है।
why do people not accept Bhagwan's
तो
teaching?
शिक्षा को
What is the
ग्रहण
reason?
करने से इतना लाभ है और ना
If
ग्रहण करने से
accepting
इतनी हानि
Bhagwan's
है,
instructions are so
इस
beneficial
बात
and
को
not accepting
यदि
them leads to so much
सुन
loss,
के भी
then why do
कई
people
लोग
not accept
सुनते भी हैं
what Bhagavan teaches?
इस पर
We see
चलते
that
भी हैं,
many people
अधिकतर
listen to
लोग
what Bhagavan is teaching,
ज़्यादातर लोग ऐसे
but they do
नहीं
not
करते हैं। कुछ
follow.
लोग जानते हैं
There are many
कि
people who know what Bhagavan is telling. Most of the
सनातन
people are
धर्म
like this. They know that we
उसको
should
कौन नहीं
speak the
जानता।
truth. Who doesn't know that we should
सभी
not
जानते
speak
हैं
the
कि
truth?
चोरी नहीं करनी चाहिए
Who doesn't know that? Everybody knows that we should
और
speak truth, we should
कुछ
not
लोग हैं जो
steal.
जानते हैं
There are
कि
many people
हमको नशा
who
नहीं करना
know
चाहिए,
that we should
चोरी
not
नहीं करनी
indulge in
चाहिए,
any sort of addiction, smoking,
तो
but
जानते
still
हुए भी
they
वो
do
ऐसा
that.
क्यों करते हैं, इसके
So,
पीछे कारण
knowingly
क्या है।
also, why do people
इसलिए
behave like
भगवान यहाँ
this?
पर एक
What is the
बहुत
reason?
महत्वपूर्ण श्लोक बोल रहा है। ये
So,
श्लोक जो है
regarding
ये
that, Bhagavan is telling very
ये
important
श्लोक
verse.
जो है वो
This and the next one is extremely
बहुत
important, very
महत्वपूर्ण
practical
श्लोक है
in our
भगवान की
life.
शिक्षा है इसमें। तो इसमें वो कहते हैं सदृशम चेष्टते स्वस्याः प्रकृतेर्ज्ञानवान् अपि प्रकृतिम यान्ति भूतानि निग्रह किम करिष्यति। तो ज्ञानी व्यक्ति भी अपने
Translation:
पूर्व के स्वभाव
even
को
a
त्याग
wise
करके
person acts in accordance with his
सभी
own
जीव अपने
priorly
स्वभाव को
acquired
प्राप्त
nature.
करते हैं,
All living
तो
beings
ये
follow their
स्वभाव से मुक्त
acquired
हो जाते हैं।
disposition. What can external restraint accomplish?
तो इसमें बताते हैं कि हमारा जो
So here
हमारी जो
Bhagavan is
मानसिकता है
teaching that
वो
our
हमको कैसे
mentality,
नियंत्रण करके
how
चलाती है।
it controls us
और
in
इसको
our
हम
life.
समझ सकते हैं आसानी से
And
कि
we
जैसे
can easily understand
मोबाइल है,
this, that like there is a
उसमें
robot.
जिस प्रकार की प्रोग्रामिंग होती है उसके अनुसार वो कार्य करता है।
So the way
अर्थात
it is
कोई मोबाइल
programmed,
लेता है
it functions accordingly.
जो इंडस्ट्री है वहाँ कुछ निर्माण कार्य किए जाता है, उसमें भी उपयोग
Like
करते हैं
nowadays,
रोबोट्स।
even in factories,
तो
robots are
अगर
being used. Robots can
कहीं
talk
जाना है
also.
तो आपको
If you go to a
एक
hotel,
व्यक्ति भी
a
आपको
robot
यहाँ
can book your room
काम लगाने
also.
को एक भी आदमी नहीं
can book your accommodation. There are some hotels where you will not find any human being. It is totally maintained by robots.
तो वास्तव में जैसे वो काम कर रहे हैं
So
और उनको हम समझ
actually,
सकते
the
हैं कि किस
way
तरह से
they
वो
are
काम किया गया है,
working,
और उसी के
you know
अनुसार
that they have been programmed accordingly and they just function according to the
उसमें अगर हम
program.
आर्टिफिशियल इंटेलिजेंस लगा दें तो
Now,
थोड़ा
if you
सा
embed
सोचने की
artificial intelligence in that, then they can
तो वो
start
फिर
learning also.
उसी प्रकार ही है
So
बिल्कुल।
actually, human being is also
ये
like
रोबोट
that
एक
only. There is no
शिक्षण नमूना
difference.
है।
The robot is nothing but a
तो जैसे
sample
ये
of a
रोबोट काम
human
करता
being.
है,
The way
इसकी
a
भाषा
robot
भी अलग है,
functions, human
इसकी
being
भाषा
also
भी अलग
functions
है,
accordingly.
अपनी प्रतिक्रिया
Because
भी अलग
human
है।
being has only made a robot
तो
in his
हमारे
own
अंदर भी
image.
हमारे संस्कार बैठे हुए हैं, हमारी
So
प्रकृति है,
inside us also we have our samskaras, our prakriti is
स्वभाव या
there,
प्रकृति या संस्कार,
our
उसके अनुसार
nature is there, and accordingly,
हम
according to our
चलते हैं, हम
disposition,
अपने
we
क्रियाकलाप करते
function,
हैं,
we do our activities,
लेकिन इसका हमको पता नहीं रहता है,
but we are not conscious of that.
और हम सोचते हैं कि हम
We
स्वतंत्र हैं,
think that we are
हम स्वयं
independent
निर्णय ले रहे हैं,
and we are
स्वयं ठीक
taking
कर रहे हैं,
decisions
लेकिन
independently, we
वास्तव
are
में सब कुछ
functioning
अंदर
independently,
भरा हुआ है,
but actually,
उससे समझौता
whatever is
रहता है।
inside, it is
तो यहाँ
driving
भगवान
us.
कहते हैं कि ज्ञानवान
Here,
अपि,
Bhagavan is telling
जो
Jnanavan
ज्ञानी
Api
व्यक्ति है
that the
वो भी
Jnani,
इसी
the
तरह
wise
से चलता
person,
है,
even
जो
he
व्यक्ति
functions
शुद्ध
according
आत्मा
to
है
his acquired nature.
वही तो
Then,
चलता
what
है।
to speak of the person who is not
तो
wise?
सदृशम
He
चेष्टते,
will obviously function according
जो
to his
जैसा वो
nature.
है उसके अनुसार ही वो चलता है।
So, every person
ये
functions
संस्कार
according to his nature.
स्वभाव
So, this samskara,
ये
this swabhava,
पूर्वजन्म
from
से
where is it acquired?
और
It
वर्तमान
is
में भी
acquired from the
पूर्व
previous
जन्म में जो हमने
previous birth,
क्रियाकलाप किए,
whatever
जिसके
we have
संस्कार
done.
बने उनको लेकर हम पैदा होते हैं,
Accordingly, we get the
और इसी के
samskaras while
अनुसार
taking
हमने जो
birth. And
क्रियाकलाप किए
in
उनके
this
भी
life
संस्कार बने।
also, whatever we do, that
और हमारे
also
ऊपर हमारे माँ
creates
बाप
new
का भी
samskaras.
प्रभाव रहता है।
Then we are also influenced by the samskaras of our
इसलिए
parents. Like people say that his DNA or her DNA is only like that.
हमारा संग कैसा है,
And our
कैसे लोगों के साथ हम
association
रहते
also
हैं,
creates a samskaras. What type
उसका
of
प्रभाव
people we
पड़ता है।
associate with, that
हमारी
influences us.
शिक्षा कैसी है,
Our education
हम क्या
influences
पढ़ते हैं,
us.
क्या सीखते हैं, क्या
What
सुनते
we
हैं,
study, what we
कौन
hear,
से स्कूल में जाते हैं,
what type of school
उसका प्रभाव पड़ता है।
we have in which
हमारा
have
वातावरण
studied,
कैसा है उसका भी
that
प्रभाव पड़ता
influences us. Our environment influences
है। जो
us.
लोग ठंडे
Those
प्रदेश में
people
रहते हैं जहाँ
who
धूप
live
नहीं
in very
होती,
cold countries
बारिश
where
वहीं
even
कहीं
sunlight
होती
is
रहती है, वहाँ के लोगों का
rarely
अलग
seen,
स्वभाव होता है,
mostly there is snow.
और
There
जहाँ
people have different nature.
सूर्य रहता है
But in
वहाँ
those
के लोगों का
places
अलग
which are very warm,
वातावरण
there
कैसा है।
people have different nature. So your environment also
रहने
influences you.
सहने का प्रभाव
Water
पड़ता है, ये सब
influences you, food
हमारे
influences
स्वभाव
you.
को बदलते हैं ये।
These all factors they influence our
तो शास्त्रों में
swabhava.
बताया है भगवान ने
In Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavan has
कि
explained
8 10
this.
चीजों का उन्होंने नाम लिया है कि इसके कारण हमारा
There,
स्वभाव
Bhagavan has enumerated some 8 to 10 factors that
इसलिए
influence our swabhava.
जगह जगह का पानी,
That is why
भोजन, वातावरण,
water, food,
इस सब से
atmosphere,
असर पड़ता है हमारे
all
स्वभाव पर।
these factors
फिर
they
हम
influence our swabhava.
किस
And
प्रकार
then
के ग्रंथों का अध्ययन करते हैं,
what type of books we
पुराने
study,
किस
what
प्रकार की
shastra we
संस्कृति में
study,
जाते हैं,
then how do we interact with the
उसका भी
social
प्रभाव पड़ता
media
है।
that influences us.
हम किस प्रकार की उपासना करते हैं अगर हम
What
आध्यात्मिक
type
मार्ग
of
में हैं,
sadhana we are performing,
उसका असर पड़ता है।
what type of worship we perform,
चलते
that
रहता है,
influences us. What we meditate
हमारे
on,
दिमाग में क्या चलता रहता है, जैसे पिछले
the
श्लोक
thoughts
में हमने
going on
बताया
in our
जिन
mind,
पर
like we
भरोसा
studied
करते
in the
हैं,
previous verse, those who
जिन
always
पर ये
ascribe faults
दुनिया
to
की ओर
others,
ज़्यादा उनका ध्यान जाता है, तो
they're
वो
all
भी
always meditating on
उसका असर
others'
उनके ऊपर भी
faults.
पड़ता है। ऐसा
So
नहीं है कि
that also influences them. It's not that they can remain immune to these
ऐसा
influences
अनेक बार
even
होता
while
है कि
meditating on others' faults.
व्यक्ति किसी के
It often
कोई बड़ा
happens that
ऑर्गेनाइजेशन खड़ा करता है दूसरों के
a
विरुद्ध,
person
तो उसके
creates an
ऊपर इतना जोर पड़ता है
organization
कि उसकी
against
ऑर्गेनाइजेशन विनाश बन
others.
जाती है
So
अंत में,
then he
इसलिए वो
focuses so much on
विद्रोह
others'
करता है।
faults that his own organization also becomes like that.
चाहे वो कम्युनिज्म हो या कुछ और हो,
Whether it is
उसका
communism or something
वातावरण
else,
वैसा हो जाएगा।
if you create an institution
तो
in
इस बात से
opposition to somebody
बहुत
else,
असर
and you meditate on others' faults, then your institution also becomes like that.
तो इन सब
So
चीजों
these
का
all things influence
प्रभाव
us.
पड़ता है, हमारे स्वभाव को बनाने में ये भागी हैं।
All these factors they contribute
लेकिन
to
कुछ
our
तो ऐसे हैं जिनके ऊपर
swabhava.
हमारा कोई
Now, among these factors, there are
नियंत्रण नहीं
some
है,
on which we have no
जो हमारे
control,
संस्कार हैं
like
उनके ऊपर
the
कंट्रोल नहीं
samskaras
है,
acquired from previous birth. We do not have any
और
control over
उन
that.
पर कोई नियंत्रण नहीं
We
है,
do not have any
या तो
choice
वो
to select our
हमारे कारण
parents, our place of
जैसा
birth,
हमको
our
समझ में उचित लगे
environment,
उसके बारे में
the
हम
kind of association we
सोच
received
सकते
in
हैं,
childhood.
लेकिन हम
We do
कैसे
not have
अपना
much
कर्म
control over
करें
that.
और
What
किस
type of
प्रकार के
education we
संस्कार लेके
receive, what type of
आगे बढ़ते हैं,
books we study,
किस प्रकार के लोगों से हम संग करते
what
हैं,
type of people we associate with,
किस प्रकार का चिंतन करते हैं,
what type on what we
ये
meditate.
हमारे नियंत्रण में है,
These things are under our
तो इसके
control.
ऊपर हमको ध्यान देना चाहिए
So we should focus on these factors,
और उसके
and
अनुसार आगे
accordingly
चलते हैं।
we should move ahead in
तो
life.
किसी व्यक्ति का स्वभाव जो है इन सब से बनता है,
So every person's swabhava
और
is
इस स्वभाव के
influenced by
अनुसार
these
वो चलता है।
factors, and then he functions according to his swabhava.
तो इसमें हम उदाहरण देख सकते हैं कि
So in this we
धृतराष्ट्र
can
को
see
लेकर
the
के
example of Dhritarashtra.
धृतराष्ट्र, जैसे यहाँ भगवान ने कहा ज्ञानवान
Like
अपी, तो
here,
ज्ञानवान
Bhagavan
भी
is telling Jnanavanapi,
उसमें कोई
Dhritarashtra was also a
नहीं था,
wise person. It is
वो
not that
राजकुल
he
में
was uneducated.
राजा था और राजकुल में
He
उसको
was a king. He was very
शिक्षा
intelligent.
मिली थी,
He had studied in the Gurukul, so he had
उसके
received
सलाहकार विदुर
very
जी थे,
high grade of
वो बहुत
education.
ज्ञानी हैं, उनकी
And Vidurji, who
बुद्धि
is
है
most intelligent,
और
who
बहुत
has written
बुद्धिमान थे, तो
Vidurniti,
उनकी
himself
सलाह
was the counselor
के
of
काउंसिल में थे,
Dhritarashtra. He was like
और
brother
ऐसे ही
also of Dhritarashtra.
व्यास इनके पिता थे
And
धृतराष्ट्र के,
Vyasa is like father of
व्यास जी ने
Dhritarashtra.
भी उनको सलाह दी,
And Vyasa
तो
also had
ऐसे ही
advised
होते हुए भी
Dhritarashtra. But despite
वो
all these
अपना स्वभाव नहीं बदल सके,
facilities, all
उनके जो
despite all
सलाहकार
these
थे
good counsel,
उसी के
he could
अनुसार
not change himself.
उन्होंने
He
एक
functioned
अटैचमेंट बना
according to
लिया।
his attachment only. And
भगवान
Dhritarashtra himself admitted,
भगवान श्री
it
कृष्ण
is
ने
said in
अक्रूर को
Srimad
भेजा
Bhagavatam that
कि
Bhagavan Sri Krishna had sent Akrur
दर्शन किया हमने
to
गंगा
find
में,
out.
तो अक्रूर ने उनको
And
जाके समझाया था ये कि आप
Akrur,
पांडवों के प्रति इस प्रकार का दुर्भाव क्यों
when he
रखते
went to
हैं,
Hastinapur, he
तो
asked
आपको
Dhritarashtra
उनकी
that
सलाह
why do
लेनी
you
चाहिए,
maintain
और
such
उनके पिता की तो मृत्यु हो
partiality
गई है,
against the
अब आप
Pandavas?
वंशधर हैं,
Their
तो पांडवों
father
के
passed
साथ
away, they are dependent on
आपको
you,
सद्भाव रखना
so
चाहिए,
you should rather have good
इस
feelings
प्रकार का
towards
व्यवहार
the
नहीं करना चाहिए
Pandavas, and you
जिसमें
should
आप
not behave in such a partial manner
उनका
the way you
वंशधर
have been
होते हुए भी।
behaving. You should give their share of
तो
kingdom to
धृतराष्ट्र ने ये
them.
सब उनसे सुना
So Dhritarashtra heard all
और
this,
उसकी प्रशंसा भी की
and he also
कि आपकी
praised
वाणी बहुत
Uddhav
अमृतमयी है
that
और ये
your speech is
हृदय
nectarian
को शांति दे रही है
and it
और
is
इसको सुन के
giving
मेरी
lot of
तृप्ति नहीं
peace
हो
to
रही,
my heart,
मैं और सुनना चाहता हूँ।
and I want to hear
तो जब
more
कोई
such
ज्ञानी व्यक्ति ऐसा
more
मानता है कि
wise
जो
words from
व्यक्ति
you.
बोल रहा है
So
वो
Dhritarashtra is a
सही बोल
wise
रहा है,
person. That's why he understands
लेकिन
that whatever
फिर भी
Akrur is
अपने कर्म की
speaking
प्रथा
is
से
for his
उसको
own
विनाश
benefit.
करते हैं,
But still, what did
लेकिन
Dhritarashtra
उसको
tell
ये
at the
था कि
end?
पुत्रानुराग विषय विद्युत सौदामनी था। उसने कहा कि मेरे सौम्य मित्र,
Dhritarashtra
आपकी जो
said,
वाणी है
my
ये
dear
शांत है,
friend,
बहुत
your
मधुर है
speech
और
is very nectarian
सत्यपूर्ण है,
and it is full of
लेकिन
truth.
मेरे हृदय में ये टिक
But
नहीं रही है।
it is
मैं इसको
but
सुनता हूँ
I am
जब
not
दूसरे
able
मुंह
to
से मुझे
hold your
सुनाई
words
देते हैं,
of wisdom in my heart. Like people say, hearing
तो ये
from
मैं
one side
सुनता
and
हूँ लेकिन ये
letting
मेरे
out from the
हृदय
other
में
side.
टिक
So
नहीं
I am
रही है,
hearing,
स्थिर नहीं
but
हो
I
रही
am
है।
unable to hold it
ये इसी
in
प्रकार
my
से है
heart.
कि जैसे अंधेरी
It's
रात
not
में
staying.
बिजली चमकती है,
It is like
तो बिजली चमकती है
lightning
तो
in the
प्रकाश
dark
आता है,
night. So when there is
और जब
lightning
अंधेरा
in the
हो जाए
sky, suddenly,
तो
temporarily,
प्रकाश
there is
नहीं
light
आता।
in the sky.
उसी प्रकार से आपकी वाणी जो है वो चमकती
So
है, मेरे को लगता है
your
कि हाँ मेरा अंधकार दूर
your
हो गया,
words of wisdom are
लेकिन फिर ये
striking like lightning in
स्थायी
my
नहीं होती
heart,
है।
but it is
उसका
temporary,
कारण उन्होंने बताया
and I
पुत्र
am not
अनुराग
able to
विषय,
hold it. And the reason is
कि मेरा मेरे पुत्रों में बहुत अनुराग
I
है,
have extreme
स्नेह है,
attachment to my
इसलिए
children,
ये आपकी
to my sons.
आपकी जो सलाह है,
That is why
आप जो मेरे को ज्ञान दे रहे हैं,
whatever instructions you are giving me, whatever you are teaching me, I am not able to hold on to them in my heart. So, due to his attachment to his sons, he could not accept the instructions of Uddhavaji. So, like this, we all function according to our Swabhava, and according to Swabhava, whatever we do it in two ways. One is we function according to our Swabhava, devoid of Raga Dvesh, and the other one is we perform according to our Swabhava, filled with Raga Dvesh. So, suppose we let's take the example of our eyes. So it is the swabhava of eyes to see whatever is in front of the eye. You do not have to perform any extra endeavor to see something. If something is in front of you, you naturally see that. You get the knowledge of that object by seeing that. But our act of seeing, that action can be bereft of raga dvesh, attachment and hatred, or it can be full of raga dvesh. The activity is same only. For, for example, if we have a book in front of us and we see that book, so anybody who sees the book, anybody, suppose there is a plate of food in front of you, whether you see that or a dog sees that or a cow sees that or a bird sees that, so their action of seeing is also like that only, that there is something, the same picture will be captured in their mind also, although they may not understand exactly the way we understand, but the same picture will be captured. So I somebody from Harvard University had analyzed this for a parrot and found that the parrot also captures the same image like human being does that. But then what happens? According to our samskara, we get the knowledge that this is a computer or this is food, but the action of seeing is same only, and that is devoid of ragadvesh. You are walking on the road, so many people they pass, you see them, so there is no raga or dvesh for those people. If you are watching or hearing news in television, so you hear that, but there is no ragadvesh. But when you are walking on the road, suppose you encounter a friend or a known person, so your samskara will get activated. You will feel happy. You will greet that friend and you will talk to him or her. But if you meet a person whom you do not like, or who is your enemy and he is coming in front of you, then you will react in a different way. That is why both these functions are same only. Both are happening by Swabhava only. But one is you are treating as a friend, the other one as an enemy. That is also coming from Swabhava only. So the only difference between a wise and unwise person is the wise person, if he is genuinely wise, then he will see bereft of ragadvesh. So Jnani is also two types. One is that he may just have knowledge but no experience, no realization. As I said, that people know that smoking is injurious to health, but they still smoke. So they are also Jnani. They have the knowledge that smoking is injurious. But the other one, other Jnani, other wise person is the one who knows and who also acts according to the knowledge. So even a wise person acts according to his swabhava only. Even if somebody becomes a Siddha Purush, if he is from Bengal, then he will like to eat rice only. If he is from Germany, then he will like to eat bread only. So his swabhava, his prakriti, his nature, he will act according to that. The difference is that the genuinely wise person, he will be bereft of raga dvesh. The other one will be full of raga dvesh. Even the wise person will function according to prakriti only. according to his nature only. That's why all wise people are not same. People think that if somebody has become a siddha, then he should function according like that only. Because you have heard in Shastra that Siddha Purushas are like this or that, or you have heard some stories of some Siddha Purushas, so you think that all are same. It is not like that. Every Siddha Purusha is unique, he has his own Swabhava, he has been born with a certain Prakriti. So that cannot be changed. It is extremely difficult to change the Swabhava. He will not perform their actions out of raga dvesh, or he will not behave in rajasic and tamasic way, but the other actions they will remain same only. Why does he have to change that? If he likes a certain type of food, then why should he not take that type of food uh, if it is anukul to his health? So gyanis are of two types. So on the spiritual path, people make this mistake that he was this type of sadhu, this is like this. So the different sadhus have different swabhav. No two people can have the same swabhav, because you see that every person has a unique history, and you never know who has come from where from his past life. So every person will have a different swabhav, and we see this in our body also. Every person has a unique thumbprint. Every person has a different nowadays people scan the in airport, you have these iris scanners. So every it is unique to everybody. So at the material level, if we have so much of difference, then why not at the mental level, if it is there at the bodily level? So we acquire the body according to bhava only. So every person has his own unique swabhava, and we have to understand this, and we have to know this, because if we know this, it will help us a lot. One is that we are dealing with different people. When we understand others' swabhava, we will not be disturbed. That we generally think why he is doing like this, why he is doing like that. So when we know somebody's swabhava, we adjust ourselves accordingly and deal with that person, because we know that he cannot change. He will work like that only. That swabhava may be favorable or unfavorable to you, but if you understand that this is just a swabhava and he is working as a robot only, then why to blame him? What is his fault? Yeah, once you understand the other person's swabhava, you deal in a way that you do not get into any trouble. You can work accordingly. So the way you function according to your swabhava, the other one also does that. But this does not mean that we should not behave properly. This is not what Bhagavan intends to speak here. He is just explaining the process, how any person functions. Because in the previous verses, he explained that what is the benefit of accepting his instructions and loss of not accepting. So the question may be raised, why people do not accept. So here he is explaining why they do not accept, because everyone works according to his swabhava, and it is very difficult to change that. One has to really endeavor to change that. So it is better to understand others' swabhava. And in order to understand the other person's swabhava, you have to give him freedom. If you give freedom to the other person, then you will completely understand his swabhava. Like here it is said, what is the use of external restraint? So people are forced that you have to wake up at this time in the morning, you have to do this or that. So he knows that if he does not follow this, he will be removed. But that is not swabhava. You understand the swabhava of a person when you give him full freedom. So what he does in that state of freedom, then you understand what is his swabhava. So here nigraha means external restraint. Like earlier Bhagavan had explained about mithyachar, hypocrisy.
इंद्रियार्थान विमूढ़ अर्थान मिथ्याचार से उच्यते। तो मिथ्याचार है क्योंकि वो अंदर से वो नहीं बदल रहा है,
So the
बाहर का
person who is
संयम
just showing external
बाहर का
restraint
संयम
but not
किसी
changing
ऐसे
internally is a mithyachari, hypocrite.
जहाँ लोग बहुत
So this external
संयम
restraint can be imposed by others
और
also.
कुछ
In many places, we see
बैंक का एक
people
प्रावधान है
work
कि अगर ऐसा नहीं करोगे
according to rules,
तो दंडित
regulations.
होगे, तो लोग फिर दंडित होते
Otherwise,
हैं, उसको
there will
दंड
be
बोलते हैं।
punishment. So people follow that.
देखो
So remove the
स्वभाव
rule
कैसा है।
regulation, then you see what is other
लेकिन
swabhava.
कभी विदेश में ऐसा होता नहीं है, लेकिन एक दो बार ऐसा हुआ, न्यूयॉर्क में बिजली नहीं आई 24
Many
घंटे।
times we see it is not in.
तो जैसे ही बिजली नहीं आई, कितना लोगों ने
So once it happened in foreign country
उसको
that there was no electricity,
पहले क्या
then
होता
there
था,
was so much of
दिन के वक्त
stealing and
सोता था,
theft. Why was it? Why did it not
जैसे ही
happen earlier?
ये
Simply
हुआ
because due to fear.
बाह्य संयम
So
खत्म
once
हुआ,
the fear
तो
goes
सब
away,
भागे।
the fear
और
of
जो भागे
following external restraint goes away,
ऐसे लगेंगे कि
person
हाँ
starts working according to
सब ठीक
internal
है।
swabhava. So when there are a lot of
जैसे
rules regulations, you may
संयम
feel
हुआ,
that
अंदर
this place is very nice,
तो इसलिए
there
लोग
is
बोलते हैं
no
कि
theft or
ईश्वरम
anything.
विनश्यति।
But if you remove that restriction, you will
तो
see
ये
the real
बाह्य
swabhava.
संयम क्या
That's
करता
why
है,
Bhagavan is telling here,
आपको
what is the use of this external restraint?
बुद्धि का
Because
प्रयोग
you
नहीं
are
करना
being driven by your internal swabhava.
तब तक
Until and unless you use your
बुद्धि ऐसे ही
buddhi,
आपको चलाती
your
रहेगी।
swabhava
इसीलिए
will control you.
हमारे जो
That
वैदिक
is why
संस्कृति है,
in our Vedic
जिसको
culture,
आजकल हम हिंदू धर्म बोलते हैं,
which is nowadays
उसने
called
जो
Hindu
शास्त्रीय
religion,
व्यवस्था बनाई थी,
so in Vedic
हमारे संस्कार
culture,
गर्भाधान से ही
there was a
संस्कार शुरू
system
होते
of
हैं।
samskara
उसके
starting
पीछे भी एक
from
साइंस थी, वो
conception, the Garbhadan samskar. So
बुद्धि
that
का
was the
इतना
science.
इनको ज्ञान था कि
These
जन्म
people
पहले
had
से ही
so
संस्कार
much knowledge that
स्वभाव को
a
बदलने का
human
सारा
being
प्रोग्राम जितना
is
शास्त्रों में
being
है,
made civilized, cultured right from
स्कूल
the
जाओ,
stage of
कॉलेज
conception
जाओ, ये
itself.
करो, परिक्रमा करो,
All these
ये
system
सब
of
इसके
going to
पीछे उन्होंने सिद्धांत
pilgrimage,
दिया
taking bath in the
आपको संस्कृत
river,
करना,
the whole
आपको संस्कृत
purpose
करना,
behind all these
इसलिए उसको संस्कार
injunctions
बोलते हैं।
is to make the person cultured,
और वो
civilized,
गर्भाधान से ही शुरुआत
Samskrita.
की उन्होंने, क्योंकि वो
And
जन्म
that
से ही उनको
begins
वहीं
in
बताया
Vedic
गया
culture, it begins from the
कि
stage of
ये
conception itself.
वास्तव में
Because
गर्भाधान से
if
ही
the
उनको ये
problem is
शिक्षा
in
दी गई
the
थी
seed
माताओं को
itself, then what
कि
can be
इनका जो
done?
है वो क्षेत्र है,
Actually,
इनका
the
जो है वो
actually the
परिक्रमा
preparation was
जैसे खेती
done
करते हैं,
even before conception because the mother is the
जुताई
field
करते हैं, उसको
and
जोतते हैं,
the father is
उसमें से
plowing the
उपजाऊ
field.
अन्न
So,
निकालते हैं,
like you
फिर उसमें अच्छा बीज
prepare
बोते
the
हैं,
field initially
फसल बोते
before
हैं,
sowing the seed, then only
तो
you can
ऐसे ही
expect good
उसी
crops.
प्रकार
So, human life is also like
ईश्वर ने
that.
ये सब नियमावली बनाई थी।
And for that,
आयुर्वेद
there
में
are rules and regulations. If you study Ayurveda,
इसके पूरा एक भाग आयुर्वेद का 8 भागों में से एक भाग इसी पर ही है,
in
कौमार भृत्य।
Ayurveda, one section is this
बच्चा
itself, that is
कैसे
Kaumara
उसको
Bhritya, that
पैदा करना है,
how how to
क्या खाना चाहिए,
give
क्या नहीं
birth
खाना
to
चाहिए,
a good child,
पिता को क्या खाना चाहिए, क्या
what
नहीं
mother
खाना
should
चाहिए,
eat, not eat, what father
उसके
should
बाद में
eat, should not eat,
फिर 9 महीने 10
how
महीने
to do
बाद में
Garbhadan,
और
and then
संस्कार, उन
what are the
संस्कारों को
different
पूरे
samskaras
पूरे
during
पूरे
the
संस्कार,
pregnancy period,
फिर बच्चा जब जन्म होता है संस्कार, तो ये
and
सारे
then when
संस्कार
the
इसी
child
में
is born, different samskaras are
तो
there.
उसका जो चित्त
So
है
these samskaras
वो
were done
संस्कृत हो जाता
for this reason only, that
है,
his
अब वो सब
chitta
समाप्त हो गया,
becomes purified, cultured. But nowadays that
उसका
system
महत्व जो है
is
वो भूल
more or
गए
less extinct.
और
People have forgotten the
शिक्षा में ये
importance of these
बताया गया कि
samskaras.
अब उसको नियंत्रित
So
कीजिए, तो
if you
उसके लिए
have a
ऐसे
population
उपकरण
which
तैयार
is
करने पड़ते
uncultured, uncivilized, then
हैं। अब हर
how
जगह
many
इलेक्ट्रिसिटी है,
rules, regulations, restrictions are required to
ऐसे
control
ऐसे
them?
नियम बनाइए
You have to
कानून
install
बनाइए, ऐसे
CCTV
चलिए,
cameras everywhere, make frame so
ये
many rules,
ये सब किसके लिए है, इसके
law,
लिए है
police,
कि इस तरह
etc.
से
It
मनुष्य
is
को
all
नियंत्रण
meant
में रखा जाए।
to keep the
लेकिन
human
अगर
being under
तुमने नियम
control.
का प्रोग्राम ठीक नहीं
But
किया,
what if you have
तो
installed the
सब
correct
कुछ गड़बड़ हो
program
जाएगा।
inside only? Then you do not
मनुष्य
need
को
all
उसके लिए
this.
तो बहुत कम आवश्यकता
And
पड़ती
even
है।
if you need, you will need at a minimal level,
तो
not
इसलिए
to the extent we need it
आत्म जो
now.
निग्रह है, इसको निग्रह
So
बोलते हैं,
this external
ये करना
restraint, which is
पड़ेगा,
called nigraha,
चाहे वो
this
मनुष्य
external
है, चाहे
restraint,
आदमी से है,
whether it
चाहे
is
शास्त्र से है,
through police or the army
तो
or the
न्याय व्यवस्था,
judiciary.
तो वो अंदर के स्वभाव को नहीं बदलता।
So these systems, they do not change the
इन
internal
नियमावली का पालन
swabhava.
करने से
Yeah,
हमारा
although
मनुष्य
you may say
शांत
that
हो जाता है,
when some rules, regulations are imposed continuously. Our Swabhava also changes to some extent internally, but still the Raga Dvesha remains. So later Bhagavan will speak about how to change this. But here the point is, if we do those same actions bereft of Raga Dvesh, because according to Swabhava we will work, but if we give up the Raga Dvesh behind that action, then we do not get bound to that. This is the art that Bhagavan is teaching. Earlier also he said,
तो निराशी निर्ममो भूत्वा, इन शब्दों का बार बार प्रयोग करते हैं। यस्तु आत्मरीति ये
he is
स्याद
using
आत्मरीति,
these words again and again.
तो हर जगह इसी बात को कहेंगे। तत्ववित्तु
In
महाबाहो
many places he will speak like this.
गुणेषु वर्तन्ते इति मत्वा न सज्जते, उसमें वो आसक्त नहीं होता है। और भगवान स्वयं इसको बोलते हैं, तस्माद असक्त सत्यम कार्यम कर्म समाचर, सक्तो ही आचरण कर्म परमाप्नोति पुरुष। तो बार बार उनका जो बल है,
So repeatedly he is laying stress.
वो ये नहीं कह रहे कि आप काम मत कीजिए,
He is not telling that you do not work. He is telling that you have to work. That is your nature.
कार्यते है अवश्य कर्म, अवश्य आपको कार्य करना पड़ेगा।
You have to function, you have to work. But what is the art of working?
वो बताते हैं कि इस
That is what Bhagavan is teaching, how you should work.
उनका जो मंत्र है, जो फॉर्मूला
So
है, वो राग
the
द्वेष
formula behind proper work is to work without raga and dvesh, without attachment and hatred. That is the
फिर आप
real art of working.
से मुक्त हो जाए।
And if you work like that without raga dvesh, then you will be liberated.
एक तो हमें
And for this, two things are
क्रिया को समझना होगा,
required. One is we have to understand this
भाव क्या है,
whole process, the whole system, how it is designed, how it functions, what is our swabhava.
बनाया है वैदिक
We have also designed a
इंस्टीट्यूट की वेबसाइट
swabhava test
टेस्ट ले
in our Vedic psychology website.
स्वभाव जानना
So this is very important to understand our own swabhava.
उनके साथ में आपको काम करना है, वो जाना है तो और भी अच्छा है, लेकिन अपना तो
If you
जानना ही
understand other swabhava, that is even better, but we should definitely know our own swabhava at least.
बुद्धि का प्रयोग
This is the first step.
बार बार बोलते हैं।
Secondly,
क्या बोलता हूँ,
what I always say, in fact, it is not what I say, it is what Bhagavan is repeatedly saying,
दुनिया का
use your buddhi.
ऐसा धर्म ग्रंथ नहीं है
There is no other scripture in this world which has placed so much emphasis on buddhi as much as what Gita has done. In Gita, again and again, Bhagavan gives stress on using our buddhi, our intelligence.
मनुष्य के लिए।
This is very practical for every human being.
इससे क्या प्रयोग करना है कि हमारी
So, how we are supposed to use our buddhi? We know that according to our swabhava, we will have desires in our mind, and according to the desires, we will work.
तो जब इच्छा आएगी,
So when we will get the desire, at that time we have to use our buddhi.
तो हम लगाते हैं, हम अपनी इच्छा को
Now you may say that we do use our buddhi, our intelligence to fulfill our desires.
अपनी बुद्धि लगाते हैं।
If some desire arises in the mind, we do use our intelligence to fulfill the desire. Everyone does that. But I am not talking about that type of buddhi, that is polluted intelligence. The buddhi that I am speaking of is discrimination, by which we can discriminate between dharma, adharma, benefit, loss,
क्या इसको पूर्ति करने
to
से
discriminate
मेरा उद्देश्य
that whatever desire has arisen in my mind, if I fulfill this desire, will it help me, will it lead me
करना है,
to achieve the goal of my life, to get liberated, to get spiritual happiness,
नहीं है, इस जीवन में भी आप
or
सुखी रह
at least even
तो आपको ये
to be happy in this life itself.
करने से क्या
So you should analyze that by fulfilling this desire, will I actually derive happiness? And actually deriving happiness means I am not speaking about
भगवान
temporary happiness, because that is also of three types.
परिणाम उसका सुख है या नहीं, ये
So
देखना पड़ेगा।
you have to use your buddhi to analyze
तो अगर ऐसा
whether fulfilling this desire will lead to ultimate benefit or no. If it does not lead to ultimate benefit, then do not use your intelligence, your buddhi to fulfill the desire. And this is where people make the mistake. All the problems arise at this point itself. If our buddhi and our desire
जिसके अनुसार हम कर्म करते हैं वो एक
by
पक्ष में
which we
रहेगा
do work, if they remain
हमारा कल्याण होगा
on one side,
अगर
then it
हमारी
will lead
बुद्धि
to our
कह
benefit.
रही है कि नहीं ये गलत
But
है
then what is happening
हम
is
भी
our
उसको
buddhi
ठीक
is
है ऐसा
telling
कर
us,
सकते हैं
don't do this is
क्योंकि
wrong.
हमारी
But
बुद्धि
still we do that.
और हमारे
That
क्रियाकलाप
means our
वो अलग अलग केंद्रों में खड़े हो गए
functioning and our buddhi,
विपरीत अर्थ
they are standing in the opposite parties.
तो इसलिए
They
बुद्धि
stand against each other. So
आवश्यक है
that brings suffering.
और
That
उसी
is
से
why we have to use our buddhi, our intelligence properly,
नहीं तो
our discrimination
हम अपनी
ability
बुद्धि के
properly,
अनुसार
and
चेष्टा
that will
करेंगे
lead to our ultimate
सदृशम चेष्टते
benefit.
यहाँ चेष्टा शब्द
Otherwise, we will just keep on working.
इच्छा शब्द का प्रयोग नहीं किया है
Here, Bhagwan has used the
यहाँ
word
कहा सदृशम चेष्टते ऐसा
cheshtate.
कहा यानी कि उसके अनुसार वो चेष्टा करता है
So, accordingly,
तो
he
चेष्टा हम
does
प्रकृति के
chesta,
अनुसार
he
करते हैं
works.
लेकिन उसमें
So,
बीच
you
में
work according to your
आप
nature,
अपनी
but
बुद्धि का उपयोग
in
करते हैं
between, you also use your
और अगर उस
buddhi.
चेष्टा को बदल भी नहीं सकते मानो आपका
So
इतना
by
अच्छा
using the buddhi, we can change the
आसक्ति है
chesta, the work.
पूर्व के
And
अभ्यास से
even if you are not able to change it,
एडिक्शन
if
से
you have too much
तो कम
addicted
से कम उसको
to some
बदलने से
previous
पहले
habits,
उससे
then what you
निपटने
should
के
do,
लिए
at least when you are
उसकी
engaging in that
आसक्तियों से
activity, then
राग
you should
द्वेष
just remain like a witness. You should not become
से मुक्त
immersed in
होकर
that out of raga and
उसमें
dvesh.
आपकी आसक्ति समाप्त हो जाएगी
If you just remain as a witness while engaging in that bad habit because you are
ये
addicted to
अध्याय
it,
में आपको
then
बताया
slowly you will be able to come out of it.
जिसका पालन
So,
करके
this is a very practical advice that I am giving
इन
you,
सबसे मुक्त कर सकते हैं
and you can try this
और
and get rid
अपने
of those bad
मार्ग
habits,
में जो अपनी साधना है उसको
and
कर सकते
then you can move ahead in
हैं
your
तो
spiritual life.
वास्तव में यहाँ गीता में जो बताया गया है
So,
जिसका
actually,
भगवान
what is
अर्जुन
being
को बोल
taught
रहे हैं
in Gita here, what
वो
Bhagavan is
सामने
speaking to
दुर्योधन खड़ा
Arjun,
हुआ है
and
दोनों
Duryodhan
भगवान के
is
पास
standing
गए
in front.
सहायता के लिए
Both Arjun and
तब
Duryodhan had
भगवान
approached
दुर्योधन ने
Bhagavan for help, and both are Bhagavan's
दुर्योधन
relatives.
की पुत्री
Duryodhan's daughter
भगवान कृष्ण के पुत्र शाम को ब्याही
is
हुई है
married to
तो वो
Bhagavan's
संबंधी हैं एक
son
दूसरे के
Sambh. So, in this way, Duryodhan and Bhagavan are
तो
relatives.
अर्जुन ने कहा था
But
कि
the
कृष्ण से
difference
हम साथ
between
चलें
both Duryodhan and Arjun is that Arjun
अर्जुन
had
का बंधु कि मुझे शिक्षा दीजिए मैं आपकी शरणागत हूँ
accepted Bhagavan as
और
his
दुर्योधन
guru,
को भी भगवान ने शिक्षा दी थी
and Bhagavan had given instructions to Duryodhan also
शांति दूत बन के
before
आया
the war when he had approached as peace messenger
सीता जी को भी
in
शिक्षा
the
दी
court of
तो दुर्योधन
Hastinapur.
क्या करता था वो
He
दुर्योधन
explained to Dhritarashtra also. But
जेल में
then,
डाल
how
करके
did Duryodhan
कारागृह
react?
में डालना चाहते थे
He
भगवान कृष्ण
wanted to bind
तो
Bhagavan
दोनों में
and
अंतर है
imprison him. So, this is the
तो
difference between Arjun and
एक शरण
Duryodhan.
भी लेता है और
So,
दूसरी तरफ
on one side there is Arjun who is taking shelter of Bhagavan. On the other side there is Duryodhan who
वास्तव में
wants
ये
to bind
दोनों
Bhagavan.
अंतर्यामी हैं दुर्योधन का भी एक
It
वाक्य
is
है
not that Duryodhan is a fool.
इस श्लोक से मिलता जुलता है
Duryodhan also has a verse
न च मे
which
प्रवृत्ति
matches this.
जानामि अधर्मम न मे प्रवृत्ति न मे निवृत्ति केनापि देवेन हृदय स्थितेन यथा नियुक्तोऽस्मि तथा करोमि वो कहता मैं जानता हूँ धर्म क्या है
Duryodhan
खुद को
says,
मैं
I know what is dharma. This is Duryodhan who is
मैं मेरे
telling what is dharma. But then he says,
धर्म जानने
I
में
do not
बहुत
find
इच्छा
interest
रखता
in
हूँ
dharma.
लेकिन
Then he
उसको
says,
छोड़ नहीं
I
सकता
know what is adharma, but I am not able to give
कैसे
up
हुआ
adharma or
उसका
irreligiosity.
स्वभाव वो तो देवताओं
So,
का
so
प्रयोग
he's
करता
telling
है
that somebody is sitting inside me,
वास्तव में वो केवल
although he
स्वभाव
uses the
कहता है
word
कि ऐसा
deva,
नहीं
but
है
it refers to
जिस
his swabhava only.
कोई अंदर से मेरे को चला रहा है
So he
जिसको मैं
says
देख
that
रहा
there
हूँ
is somebody inside me who is driving me,
तो
and according to that, I'm
लीला
just moving
प्राय
ahead.
करके ऐसी होती है
So
कि लीलाएं
generally,
जो
this is the
भगवान ने की
situation
हैं
of
उसका
humanity.
आदर्श है वो
But
दुर्योधन नहीं है वो
our
अर्जुन है ये
ideal example is
जैसा
Arjuna, not Duryodhan.
कथानक व्यास जी ने
and Vyasa has narrated these leelas to explain these teachings to us. So it is up to us whether we want to become Arjun or Duryodhan, and we know
अर्जुन की जांग टूटी
the destination of both the people.
जंघा टूटी अंतिम दिन में और पड़ा हुआ है
Duryodhan
उसके
suffered so
बाद
terribly at the end of the war.
उसको गीदड़
He was
खा
just
के लिए
lying down,
कोई उसके मांस को
he
नहीं
was
खा रहा था
helpless, and the
और अंत में
vultures, etc.
राज्य किया और स्वर्गारोहण किया
Arjun at the end
तो यही
he
परिणाम समझ के
went to
हमको
the Swarga.
देखना है कि हम किसका
So
अनुसरण
we
करना
have
चाहते हैं
so we have to
भगवान
analyze both, and we have to decide
भगवान हमको ये
whom we want to follow. So Bhagavan is
जब कोई
giving very
व्यक्ति
deep
चलता है
instruction here
प्रकृति से चलता है
how
लेकिन
human
जब भी
being functions
उस प्रकृति से
according
ऊपर
to
उठता
his
है
prakriti, swabhava,
वो
or his nature,
अपना
but
कल्याण
then
कर
he
सकता
can
है
rise above this and
और यही बात अर्जुन को
make his life successful.
बताई
And
क्योंकि
this
अर्जुन ने
is what
बताया था कि
he
मैं ये
taught
नहीं
Arjun,
चाहूंगा
because Arjun had also
उन्होंने
said
कहा कि
that
तुम युद्ध
I
नहीं
do not
करोगे
want to fight.
अतः तो उन्होंने कहा अथ चेत्त्वम
So Bhagavan said
न श्रोष्यसि विनक्ष्यसि अगर तुम युद्ध नहीं करोगे और ये सोचते हो कि
that if you refrain from fighting in this war,
तुम्हारी प्रकृति ही तुमको
but
प्रकृति
what will happen
क्या
is
ऐसा
that
नहीं है
your own nature
अर्जुन तो वहाँ
will
पर
force you
वही
to
प्रकृति
engage in
शब्द
the
का
war.
उपयोग वहाँ पर किया कहता
There
तुम
also
ऐसा
Bhagavan had
सोचते हो
used the word
मिथ्या है
Prakriti, that this
तुम्हारी
decision of
प्रकृति
yours is
अंतर्यामी है
false.
तो सार बात ये
Your
है
nature will
कि युद्ध
force
जो
you
है
to engage in the
बहुत
war.
कठिन है लेकिन
So
उसको
the
करना
essence is
चाहिए
that it is very
इस
difficult
प्रकार
to change the
राग
nature,
द्वेष से
but
मुक्त
then
होके हम
the point is how we can work
समाप्त कर
according
सकते
to
हैं
our nature,
मैं जानता हूँ
devoid of raga dvesh,
कि कृपा से
take
मत
shelter of Bhagavan,
तरिष्यसि
and by the mercy of
मत्ता
Bhagavan,
सर्व दुर्गाणि मत प्रसादात् तरिष्यसि कि मेरे कृपा से
as
आप
Bhagavan
सब
says,
कठिनाइयों को पार
that by
करोगे
my mercy you will
और
be
अगर
able to
मेरी
cross over all the
शरण में नहीं
obstacles.
आते हो
But if you do
क्रोध
not take
मद के
my
कारण
shelter
अपने अहंकार के कारण तो न श्रोष्यसि विनक्ष्यसि आपका
out of
विनाश
your own
होगा तो
ahankara,
यहाँ पे
then
लिखा
you
है
will be destroyed.
विद्धि नष्टो
Your
यशो
life will be ruined.
तो आज का प्रवचन यही
So we will stop here, and
समाप्त करते हैं
if you have
किसी
any
को कोई प्रश्न
question,
हो तो पूछ
you
सकते
can
हैं
ask.
धन्यवाद बाबा जी।
Question.
जैसे क्या कहते हैं ये पीछे बोला गया मतलब श्लोक में ही था कि प्रकृति और प्रवृत्ति
Like it was said earlier,
संस्कार और
that
इस
Prakriti,
प्रारब्ध में जो
nature,
विद्यमान है
it's acquired from the
ये
previous birth,
इसके अनुसार मनुष्य का
and
इस तरीके का
Prarabdha has
स्वभाव
been,
और
according to Prarabdha, we have this body,
अश्रद्धालु और ईर्ष्यालु हो जाता है।
and we
तो
become
आपने
envious and
सिद्ध
faithless.
की बात करी थी
You
कि जो
spoke
सिद्ध
about
हैं
Siddha, that
तो
those who
सिद्ध
are
पुरुष तो
Siddhas, the Siddha Purusha,
सिद्ध पुरुष तो स्वरूप शक्ति से चलते हैं ना, वो बाहरी
so
भगवान की
they
शक्ति
function according to
की
Swarupa
शक्ति
Shakti.
से
उनका
चलेंगे।
शरीर नहीं होता है शरीर
So
होता है
answer, do they not have a body?
शरीर की प्रकृति है या नहीं है
So even they have a body, the body has its own nature or
जहर
no?
पी लें
Suppose a Siddha Purusha, suppose he
तो उनकी
by
मृत्यु
mistake
होगी
he consumes poison. You think he will
स्वरूप
die or
शक्ति
no?
कहेगी कि नहीं जहर
Or
खाने से
Swarup
नहीं मरेगा
Shakti will say that no, poison will not have any effect.
उसमें भी
सिद्ध
एक
पुरुष दवाई लेते हैं नहीं बीमार हो जाते हैं
When Siddha Purushas
लेते हैं
fall
नहीं लेते
sick, they take medicine or no?
लेते तो हैं
तो दवाई का असर उनके शरीर पर होता है या नहीं होता है
So that medicine improves their health or
दवाई का
no?
असर तो भौतिक शरीर पर ही हो रहा है उनके अंतरंग
So the
शरीर पर जाके
medicine
काम कर रहे
is
हैं भौतिक शरीर पर
influencing the
नहीं
body or no?
और दवाई
लेकिन
भी
जो एक्टिविटीज हैं जो
The disease is on the
वो
body.
तो क्रिया मैंने बताया ना उनका भी तो स्वभाव होता है ना
So they also have their own swabhava.
वो भी भोजन करते हैं
They will also fall
प्रकृति है
asleep.
उससे
They
चलते
will
हैं
also take food. They also have their own prakriti
भगवान
according to
भगवान
which they function. Bhagavan,
अंतरंगा शरीर के मालिक हैं कि
Bhagavan,
बाहरी शरीर के
even Bhagavan has a swabhava, although he is the owner of Antaranga Shakti. He has his own
भगवान का
swabhava or
स्वभाव है
no?
या नहीं है
हाँ वहाँ पर राग द्वेष नहीं है ना,
तो ऐसे ही वो भी राग द्वेष नहीं
So
होगा ना,
just
वो
like
तो
Bhagavan does not work by Raga Dvesh, similarly Siddha Purush also does not work by Raga Dvesh.
करेगी या कहीं आसमान से आके काम करेगी?
Even if he has Antaranga Shakti, the Siddha Purush, that will also manifest through the body only or no? Siddha Purush will also see through his eyes only. Suppose there is a wise person and he
तो उसको भी तो
gets
धुंधला दिखाई देगा ही।
cataract,
तो
so
प्रकृति है,
he will also, his vision will also become blurred or no?
अरविंद का कोई असर नहीं होगा इनका।
You think, you think it will not affect him?
इसी का मतलब है प्रकृति के अनुसार।
So Gyanvan means he also works according to Prakriti. He is free from Raga Dvesh. He will work for Bhagavan only. He is surrendered to Bhagavan. But he has his own
केवल
Prakriti.
प्रकृति से ही नहीं चल रहा है,
He is working not just by
साधक भी
Prakriti.
प्रकृति से ही
An
चलता है।
ordinary human
इसलिए
being
बताया प्रकृति का
functions
उपयोग कीजिए।
just by Prakriti, just by his nature. But as I said, that along with Prakriti, you use your Buddhi. And when it comes to Siddha Purusha, then the Antaranga Shakti is also functioning.
प्रश्न है सर्व
Next question.
ज्ञान विमूढ़ान में अविमूढ़ा कैसे बना?
How did you say avimudha in sarva gyan vimudha? So if you know Sanskrit, you will understand.
का बहुवचन क्या होगा? सर्वज्ञः, सर्वज्ञौ, सर्वज्ञः, सर्वज्ञम, सर्वज्ञौ, सर्वज्ञान। तो सर्वज्ञान को अलग कर दीजिए।
So the
अविमूढ़
Dvitiya Bhuvachan, that will be sarva gyan. So you remove that and there is avimudha.
ज्ञान अविमूढ़।
So
गुस्तावो जी का प्रश्न है
next
क्या
question.
बुरी आदत के प्रति
Does
सावधानी
standing as a
बरतना
witness
बुरा
to
है
a bad
या
habit
भावनाहीन होने की
mean
कोशिश करें?
trying to remain emotionless?
भावनाहीन का मतलब वो मैंने बताया कि उसमें राग राग
So as I said, you should not
मत कीजिए।
even if you have an addiction to any bad habit, when you are engaging in it,
राग से है,
do not do it with
राग
attachment,
आपका संस्कार
being
बढ़
immersed
जाएगा।
in it. Otherwise if you do that,
होकर करेंगे
it will your samskara will become more strong.
दुर्बल हो जाएगा, फिर धीरे धीरे आप उसको
And if you do it without raga, it will become, it will lose its strength and slowly you will give it up.
प्रश्न पूछें।
महाराज जी को प्रणाम। महाराज जी, मैं ऑडिबल सुनाई दे रहा महाराज?
यस।
महाराज जी, थैंक यू वेरी मच फॉर योर वंडरफुल सीरीज ऑफ लेक्चर्स। महाराज, मेरा प्रश्न है, आपने
So question,
जो भक्ति अधिकारी और कर्म अधिकारी के बारे में जो स्पष्ट किया था,
so
तो
what you
आजकल
had
के
explained
समाज में
about the adhikari
जो
for
समाज में
bhakta,
तो
for bhakti, for
जो
karma,
अधिकारी है तो
as we
उसको
see in today's society, there is no
वर्णाश्रम
varnashram
विजिबल है
system.
या किस प्रकार का ऑक्यूपेशन
So
आजकल के सिनेरियो में, जो कि वर्णाश्रम विजिबल नहीं है क्लियरली,
since
तो
varnashram is not
क्या
feasible,
करना चाहिए?
so
तो आजकल
today
चल रहा है कि
the
उसको
bhakta,
सर्टिफिकेट मिल
what
जाएगा, तो
sort of occupation he should adopt
अपने
once he understands
अनुसार
his
उसको adopt
some
करना चाहिए।
physical nature, how he should choose his occupation.
ये अनेक प्रकार के उपलब्ध हैं।
Answer. So now also you have different types of occupations. There are some occupations which are
ब्राह्मण टाइप के जिनको आप कह सकते हैं,
more of sattvic nature, like studying, teaching,
काउंसलर आजकल बोलते हैं,
or counseling,
या जज वकील, कुछ कार्य
or
ऐसे हैं
in
जो
the judiciary.
मैनेजमेंट,
Some activities are more of kshatriya nature, like
कुछ कार्य
management. Some are of business, some are of service nature, and in that also there are so many divisions. These four are very broad divisions. In that again you have further subclassifications.
है अपना स्वभाव
So according to your swabhava, your prakriti,
के अनुरूप अगर
then
आप कार्य कर सकते हैं तो उसमें आपको सुविधा रहती है,
if you function according to that, then it will be good for you. Your mind will be peaceful because you are working according to your swabhava. It is like flowing along the current of the water,
विरोध में आप
but working against one's swabhava is like flowing against the current.
तो उसमें आपको ये सहूलियत रहती है, आपका जीवन
So if you work according to your swabhava, your life is more peaceful, you feel sense of satisfaction.
महाराज जी, तो क्या हमारा कार्य कौन सा कार्य हम करेंगे अपने जीवन में, ये क्या पूर्व निर्धारित रहता है या हमको
So question, is it predetermined, predecided that
करना पड़ता
what occupation we will be choosing in this life? Like we see in the lives of
कई चीजें पहले से तय होती हैं कि
great
जीवन में आके
Mahatmas,
ये कार्य करेंगे,
they
तो इसमें भी हमारे
many
जो
things are
जीवन के लक्ष्य
pre-decided or
है कि क्या
forecasted
कार्य
that
हम इसमें
at this age
करेंगे,
they will do this.
और विकल्प जो सामने
So
मिलते
is
हैं
it
उनमें से किसी चीज को ऑप्ट करना है।
pre-decided or I have to choose it?
देखिए मैंने पहले ही कहा कि कुछ
So
चीजें ऐसी
answer,
हैं
as I said earlier, there are some things on which you have no control.
तो जो पूर्व जन्म के संस्कार हमारे माँ बाप और पूर्व जन्म के
The
संस्कार
samskaras of previous birth, like that of father, mother.
पे हमारा कोई
So the
नियंत्रण नहीं है।
samskaras of purva janma,
तो
the previous
इसलिए
birth, that is the result of karma.
की चिंता
What else?
छोड़कर जो
So
आप
you should not bother about that. Whatever options you have currently, you should
दैवम निहत्य कुरु
choose from that wisely.
शक्तिया के अपने दैव को कि ये तो मेरा कर्म है, मेरा पूर्व भाग्य है, तो उसको छोड़ के आप अभी अपने पुरुषार्थ
So
कर
you
दीजिए। हमारा
can
जीवन
should not focus on the previous daiva,
कर्म या
what you have
भाग्य
acquired from the previous
और दूसरा
janma.
हमारा पुरुषार्थ।
You should focus on what you have to do currently. So life runs on these two
कहते हैं जो कमजोर
wheels.
व्यक्ति बुजदिल
One
व्यक्ति
is what we have acquired from previous birth, and the other is our own purushartha in this life.
पुरुषार्थ से काम कीजिए।
So you should work according to your purushartha,
शक्ति है उसको
your own ability.
तो उस पे आप कुछ नहीं कर सकते हैं। जैसे
Whatever karma you have already accrued from previous births, you can't do anything about that.
जो चीज अपरिहार्य है, इनएविटेबल है,
What is inevitable, you do not have any control over that. Why should you worry about that?
लीजिए कि ऐसा है,
You should just know that it is there, so that you are not in ignorance. If you have the facility to know, like our own swabhava.
जानिए।
So as I advised you, you should know your swabhava.
2 दिन में इसको
But then,
दूंगा तो वो असंभव
if you think that in 2 days I will change it, then it is impossible.
स्वभाव है, तामसिक
Whether it is sattvic, rajasic, tamasic, whatever type of swabhava it is. But knowing that swabhava is useful, so that I understand who I am.
शब्द का अनेक अर्थ है। आत्मा का मतलब शरीर भी होता है, आत्मा का अर्थ बुद्धि मन भी
So,
होता है, अहंकार
like we say, Atma Sakshatkar, self-realization. So, Atma means many things. Atma, body, mind. So, self-realization or Atma Sakshatkar means to understand the whole system, the whole.
ऐसे खाली पड़ी हुई है। तो ज्यादा तो इसी को समझना है, जो इतना सारा कूड़ा अंदर भरा हुआ है उसको जानना है
So,
हमें।
we have to understand what all is there inside our chitta. In Atma, what is there? What is there much there to understand? Atma is already clean. Atma is pure only.
तो पहले तो हमें इसी को समझना है।
So first you have to understand your own chitta,
ऊपर चढ़ा हुआ है कि इसमें क्या क्या
the coverings, what all coverings are there.
हम अपना कार्य कर
You have to understand that, and then you have to work accordingly.
तो देखिए कि इसमें मेरे लिए
And you should see what all options you have in your life, and then choose the most favorable one, which leads you to the goal of your life.
Did you say the tendency to derive happiness is also of three types? You mean sattva, rajas, tamas, and temporary happiness is tamas? I didn't get what are those three types.
3 प्रकार के सुख जो है वो गीता के 18वें
The
अध्याय
3
में
types of happiness are explained in the 18th chapter in Gita. You can study there.
गीता के 18वें अध्याय में
In the 18th chapter in Bhagavad-Gita,
प्रकार की
Bhagavan has explained 3 types of
सात्विक सुख,
happiness:
राजसिक सुख,
sattvic, rajasic, and tamasic.
आपका प्रश्न क्या है?
What is your question?
वीरा देवी, क्या प्रश्न क्या है आपका?
What is your question?
Well, just to clarify, what are those three types? I didn't get.
हाँ, तो गीता में लिखा हुआ है कि पहले
So it is written in Gita
उसको कहते हैं
that sattvic happiness is that
में
which
थोड़ा
initially
हो सकता है,
maybe can give trouble, can be like austerity.
उसके लिए अभ्यास करना पड़ता है, जिसको साधना
You have to practice that, what we call sadhana.
यत्र दुखांतम से निगच्छति यत्तदग्रे विषमेव परिणामे अमृतोपमं तत्सुखम सात्विकम प्रोक्तम आत्मबुद्धि प्रसादजन। तो सुख जो है शुरू में
So the sattvic happiness, initially it appears like poison, because you have to work hard for that, you have to control your senses, your mind.
लेकिन उसका अंत जो है
You have to do some sadhana, but the end result
अमृत के समान
is like nectar.
सात्विक सुख
That is
राजसिक
sattvic
सुख
happiness. Then what is rajasic happiness?
समीवा परिणामे नहीं विषयेंद्रिय संयोगात यत्तदग्रे अमृतोपमम जो आरंभ में जो है
So rajasic sukh is or rajasic happiness is that what appears like
इंद्रिय और विषय के संयोग
nectar initially, and it is experienced by the contact of sense objects, but the ending is misery.
नहीं आता है वो
Sattvic happiness is not derived by sense pleasure, it is internal.
और जो तामसिक सुख है
And the tamasic happiness,
मोहनात्मक है आपकी बुद्धि को भ्रष्ट करता है यत्तदग्रे
it deludes our intelligence.
अनुबंधे च सुखम मोहनम आत्मन निद्रा आलस्य प्रमाद सोना निद्रा में जाना आलस्य उसमें भी सुख होता है ना आलस्य
Even in laziness there is happiness, so that is tamasic happiness.
What is the source of this so-called voice of conscience? What is the source of so-called voice of conscience? Does it come from buddhi? The sense of right and wrong.
तो वो बोलते हैं कि हमें जो ये
So
ख्याल
the
आता है
question
ये
is,
ठीक है
what is the source of the voice of conscience, what we get from the inner voice, this is right, wrong.
से आता है
So this discrimination, viveka, it comes from buddhi.
बोलती है कि ये गलत है
Our buddhi tells us this is right, this is wrong,
पूर्व संस्कार के अनुसार चल
and the buddhi functions according to our previously acquired samskaras, because the buddhi is also an instrument, our mind is an instrument,
वाला जो प्रोग्राम है
but the program that is driving them, that is inside the chitta,
ये चार एक
mind, intelligence, the chitta, the ahankar, all these four function together. So in chitta there are samskaras and it operates the buddhi,
आत्मा मन चलता है
and with that the mind operates.
हमको जो विवेक देती है विवेक का मतलब है ये जानना कि ये गलत है या ठीक है उसके लिए आपको पूर्व
So the
अनुभव
buddhi gives us discrimination, this is right or wrong.
होना चाहिए
So for that we should have prior knowledge.
अनुमान से भी आ सकता है
It can be by hearing or by inference. So all those samskaras are in the chitta.
नहीं कर सकते
Without chitta, buddhi cannot do anything.
तो बुद्धि का मतलब होता है ये
So buddhi means
बताना
to tell
कि ये ठीक है ये गलत है
that this is right, this is wrong,
लेकिन वो बताएगी चित्त के अनुसार
but it will tell according to the chitta.
करेंगे तो बुद्धि भी
So if you purify your chitta, then your buddhi will also get purified. But if your chitta is impure, buddhi will also remain impure. So the voice that you speak of, some people say that Paramatma is telling. Paramatma is not telling anything. That voice that is coming from your chitta only.
शांत चित्त खड़ा हुआ है
Paramatma is quiet.
तो सबके लिए
It's just witness. Paramatma says that I am equal to all.
वो तो साक्षी रहता है
Paramatma is just a sakshi, a witness.
खाया समानम वृक्षम तो जैसे दो एक पेड़ पर दो पक्षी बैठे
Like on a tree there are two birds, so the Paramatma
ये तो कह रहा है दूसरा
is just looking at the other bird. The one is eating the fruits, the other is just watching. So Paramatma is just witness.
निर्गुणस्य उपनिषद में कहा कि वो केवल साक्षी है निर्गुण है
Paramatma is just the witness, nirguna.
केवल है शुद्ध है राग द्वेष विहीन
It is pure, it is free from ragadvesh, meaning it has no, Paramatma has no attachment.
ये समान है
So Paramatma is equal to all.
तो ठीक करो कुछ भी
Whether you do something right, wrong,
तो कर्म का फल मिलेगा
you will get the result of your karma.
और कुछ हो गया चले जी
In that if we meditate on the bad qualities of other people, then we acquire those qualities. I'm wondering why is it so, or how this mechanism works? Because if I find that some qualities, dislikable, then why would I acquire that?
इसका ऐसा होता है कि उनका प्रश्न
So
है ये
his question is that, as I said,
दोषों पर
when we meditate on others' faults, we also get influenced by that, and those faults they influence us also. How does this mechanism work? Why does it happen like this? So answer, what happens is that when we see faults in others and we discuss that, then we derive a lot of pleasure in that discussion, and whatever gives us pleasure, it creates samskaras in the chitta.
और दुखानुशाही द्वेष पतंजलि अपने योग सूत्र में कहते
So
हैं
Patanjali says in the Yoga Sutra that whatever gives you pleasure, you get attached to that.
जाता है तो मतलब
And when you get attached to that, that means it is holding on to your chitta.
कर रहे हैं
So when you are criticizing others, you are finding faults in others, in that you are deriving pleasure.
उसका एक संस्कार पड़ रहा है
And when you derive pleasure, it is creating a samskara in your chitta.
थोड़े पड़ रहे हैं
It is not creating samskara in the other's chitta.
प्रभावित करेगा
So that will influence you also.
तो इसलिए ऐसा होता तो भागवत में वो कथा है ना कि वो
So in Srimad Bhagavatam, we have that story.
कीट को पकड़ के लाके अपने उसमें घर में रख देता है और वो कीट जो है वो उससे बहुत भयपूर्ण रहता है और वो भय के कारण उसके ऊपर चिंता करता रहता है तो चिंता करते करते वो भी भ्रमरी बन जाता है तो भय तो
So
एक
the
दोष
insect
है,
meditates
इसलिए चिंता कर रहा है डर के कारण उसकी चिंता करता है आप दोष के कारण चिंता कर रहे हो तो
due
आप
to
भी वैसा
fault you are meditating on others due to your own fault, and then you will become like that only.
राग और द्वेष दोनों का यह संस्कार गहरा पड़ता है
Raga and Dvesh both create very deep samskaras inside.
लोगों को देखते हैं आपसे
So when you are
कितने
walking, you see so many things. If I ask you how many colors did you see while walking on the road, can you reply?
के व्यक्ति
How many types of trees, how many types of human beings did you see? You will not be able to recall. But if you met somebody whom you know, you will be able to recall, yes, I met him.
कार में जा रहा है आपने देख लिया उसने देखा भी नहीं आपको
So if somebody is in the car, even if he did not see you, but you saw that person, you will remember
राग द्वेष
because you have some rag dvesh with that person.
तो उसका संस्कार पड़ता है
So that creates samskara,
संस्कार से ही चलता है सब
and then everything functions according to the samskara. Like nowadays, you have artificial intelligence.
अपने आप को एजुकेट करती है
So artificial intelligence educates itself.
उसको जैसा अनुभव है तो वो अपने आप को प्रोग्राम करती रहती है ना
It keeps programming itself.
ऐसे चलता है
So our situation is also like that only.
तो हम अपने आप को अपने संस्कार
We
अपने अनुभव के अनुसार मॉडिफाई करते
we keep modifying our chitta by new samskaras and experiences. Like people say, AI gets trained.
हैं यूट्यूब पर जाके कुछ
If you watch some video in YouTube,
वैसे ही 50 वीडियो
then YouTube will show more videos which are similar to that because YouTube understands that this is what you like. So YouTube has been programmed like that. So our chitta also works in the similar way.
ठीक है और भी है कुछ बोल
दीपक जी का प्रश्न है मैं
Next
यहाँ पढ़ता
question.
हूँ कि
I find that when I listen to Bhagavad-Gita classes, I am enthused from the teachings, but after some time it feels almost like I never listen to the class, and when situation presents itself, I cannot put the teachings in place. What can I do to change?
तो इनको बार बार सुनो
So answer here repeatedly.
से न जायते दृढ़ तरह संस्कार ये संस्कार में एक दृढ़ता यानी कि शक्ति होती है
In samskara there is a power.
शक्तिशाली
So
संस्कार होता है
whichever samskara is more powerful,
प्रभावित करता है
it will influence us more.
संस्कार होता है वो
Whichever samskara is weak, it will not be able to influence us much. So whatever you want to be influenced by, you have to strengthen that samskara. And there are two ways of strengthening that samskara. One is by doing it again and again. Like if I have to memorize a verse,
बहुत ही प्रखर
there are very few people who are so intelligent or who have such memory that they just read once and they can remember it. But ordinarily people have to read or memorize again and again.
तो उसका एक ग्रूव बनता जाता है गहरा
So it creates a strong and strong groove in your chitta, and then that samskara becomes very strong. Then
जिस चीज का
you will be able to recall
उसका हमको बार बार
in the appropriate situation. So whatever you want to make strong, you have to repeatedly do that, repeatedly hear that.
जो दृढ़ता है
And if we do that with raga,
एक
then it will become more strong. So samskara gets strength by repetition and by ragadvesh.
उनमें राग बहुत
So
ज्यादा
there
है,
are some
एक
actions
बार से ही
in which there is so much ragadvesh
याद रखते
that once you do that, whole life you can remember it,
अभ्यास किया
because the ragadvesh was very strong in that activity.
संदीप जी कृपया अपना प्रश्न पूछें।
प्रणाम बाबाजी महाराज। मेरा क्वेश्चन ये है कि जैसे दुर्योधन और धृतराष्ट्र की
So question, like you gave the example of Duryodhan and Dhritarashtra, they were in the royal family, they had knowledge of all the Dharma Shastra, Artha Shastra from the childhood,
लेकिन उसके बाद भी जब विदुर जी ने या फिर अक्रूर
but
जी ने जब
despite
उनको शिक्षा दी
Vidur instructing them, Akrurji instructing them,
काम किया होगा कि देखिए
there
मेरा बेटा राजा है, मैं उसका पिता हूँ, तो मेरी जीवन भर देखभाल करता रहेगा अगर मैं इनको दे दूं। मेरा क्वेश्चन शॉर्ट में ये है
so my question in brief
सामान्य व्यक्ति हैं
is
हम
that
कैसे
like ordinary people like us, how can we recognize
धर्म की जो शिक्षा हमें मिल रही है वो सही
that
है
the
या धर्म
what
के
we are
नाम पे
learning about dharma
चीज की शिक्षा दी जा
is
रही है,
correct
कैसे भेद करें?
or it is wrong in the name of dharma? How do we discriminate?
धर्म क्या है
So answer, yes, you can discriminate only when you know what is dharma, when you already know what is dharma.
तभी तो
If
आपको
you
लगता है कि
know
ये जो बोल रहा है ये
beforehand what is dharma, then only you can
सम्मत है या नहीं सम्मत है।
understand that the person whatever he is speaking, it is according to dharma or no. Otherwise, how will you be able to discriminate?
कहीं तो आप शिक्षा प्रारंभ करेंगे ना गुरुदेव।
तो शिक्षा प्रारंभ इसलिए तो श्रद्धा से बोला ना, क्या बोला भगवान ने, श्रद्धावंतो अनुसूयंतो।
So yes, you have to begin somewhere, so that beginning happens with shraddha.
तो ये श्रद्धा से ही चलता है। श्रद्धा का मतलब होता है कि मेरा इन व्यक्ति में विश्वास है और मैं इनकी
Shraddha
बात
means I have faith in this person, I listen to him, I follow
से ही
him.
आरंभ करती है इसको।
So Shraddha is the beginning.
नहीं तो आप हर जगह संशय करते रहिए,
Otherwise, you keep suspecting everybody, doubting everybody, then you will not be able to do anything.
तो आरंभ तो श्रद्धा से ही होता है।
So the beginning happens with Shraddha only.
ठीक है,
थैंक यू।
चलो प्रार्थना श्लोक। सर्वोपनिषदो गावो दोग्धा गोपाल नंदनः पार्थो वत्सः सुधीर भोक्ता दुग्धम गीतामृतम महत् एकं शास्त्रं देवकी पुत्र गीतम् एको देवो देवकी पुत्र एव एको मंत्रस्तस्य नामानि यानि कर्माप्येकं तस्य देवस्य सेवा कार्पण्यदोषोपहतः स्वभावः पृच्छामि त्वां धर्मसम्मूढचेताः यच्छ्रेयः स्यान्निश्चितं ब्रूहि तन्मे शिष्यस्तेऽहं साधिमां त्वां प्रपन्नम् यत्र योगेश्वरः कृष्णो यत्र पार्थो धनुर्धरः तत्र श्रीर्विजयो भूतिर् ध्रुवा नीतिर्मतिर्मम कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकी नंदनाय च नंदगोपकुमाराय गोविंदाय नमो नमः नमः पंकजनाभाय नमः पंकजमालिने नमः पंकजनेत्राय नमस्ते पंकजांघ्रये भवे भवे यथा भक्तिः पादयोस्तव जायते तथा कुरुष्व देवेश नाथस्त्वं नो यतः प्रभो नाम संकीर्तनं यस्य सर्वपाप प्रणाशनम् प्रणामो दुःखशमनस्तं नमामि हरिं परम् हरि ओम तत्सत्।